Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Demystify Selling with Microsoft. And I've got a couple special guests today from a company called ISSI, which we're going to learn about here in a moment. But I'm very excited because this is going to talk about something that I hear from partners all the time, and it falls in the solution designation and specialization arena. And it's a topic that everybody wants to talk about. So I'm super excited for my two guests today, Troy and Jamie. Guys, welcome.
Thank
Hi,
you for having
Rob.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And maybe before we jump into the discussion, Troy, you could take a minute, introduce yourself, then Jamie, and we'll start there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Troy Macias. I have been in the partner ecosystem in the world of technology for, I'm going to date myself, probably close to 30 years now. I know I look like a young guy, but I've been doing this for a long time. And what I would say as a takeaway from my intro is I've done a little bit of everything, right? I've been the hands-on guy. I've been a technical instructor. I've led partner programs and really helped the partner ecosystem in various areas of the technology space. And what we do at ISSI, I love. So we'll get to that in a moment, but really happy to be here. And I lead our alliances and partnerships at ISSI globally.
Great, thanks, Troy. And I see the gray creeping in there, so I got you. Jamie, you want to do a quick introduction, and then
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Rob. So, hey, everybody. I am Jamie Thordsem. I am our Director of Partner Programs and Alliances at ISSI. I've been at ISSI for going on 8 years now, so a good amount of time. Learned a lot in that period of time. Back in 2019, I began my involvement with the Specialization and Azure Expert MSP program, so I've had the chance to see those two programs really evolve over the better part of a decade. Looking forward to this conversation and kind of helping partners more along the journey. So,
awesome.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I am as well. But before
Mhm.
we go on that journey together, maybe Troy, you could just take a minute, or Jamie, and tell us a bit about ISSI and a little bit about your mission, where you fit into the ecosystem. That'll really help, I think, give people context.
Yeah, I love the opportunity to do that. So, as I mentioned, where we are from a perspective with ISSI, we support partners. So we're here to talk about the Microsoft partner ecosystem today, and we perform the validation for the Azure Specializations and their expert MSP program. We're really excited to support partners in that way on behalf of Microsoft. So what that means is if you're going to achieve a specific Azure specialization, you would see ISSI to go through that process for the audit or the validation. And that's one area of our business. We are 20 years old as of 2026. We're really excited
Yes.
about the last 20 years of our tenure, if you will. We also have a consulting business where we provide workshops and enablement for partners, where we're actually helping them to understand these technologies to grow their practices so that they can be more meaningful and, of course, build more revenue for themselves. Outside of that, I would also say, for everyone's awareness, if you're not aware of ISSI, we are a global organization. We are in more than 30 countries. We speak more than 20 languages. We have performed in those 20 years more than 15,000 audits.
Oh my goodness.
And
Wow.
we hold a lot of advanced specialization certifications, if you will, as far as what
Mhm.
our SMEs have to have to go through and work with these partners to support them. Jamie, you've been with us for 8 years, like you said. I came on as a customer. I was with a cloud company, and Jamie's been here through a lot of that journey over the 20 years, the 8 years he's been here. Jamie, anything to add?
Yeah, I'd say over those years, our team has definitely grown a lot. So when I joined, there were maybe 10 or 12 people, and now we're pushing over 150. So it's been great to have a team that's been able to scale out and also really upskill at the same time with that. So, as we've been getting more involved with these programs, so too has our team grown. I think Troy touched on it. We do support over 20 languages, which has been really helpful for partners. When they go to the audit, one thing they say is, hey, do we have to translate everything into English? The answer is no, it can be in local documentation, and we do our best to
Awesome.
kind of accommodate them. So that's one thing that we're really proud of and happy to help partners with. So, yeah.
I love that. That really helps people just get a better understanding of who you are. And
Hmm.
for me, one of the things that I think is so unique about you and your organization and ISI as an organization is how close you are to Microsoft. I mean, you literally are lockstep with what they're doing. So when a partner is trying to get their arms around this, I personally don't think there's anybody with more information than ISI outside of Microsoft, and one might argue even more than Microsoft. But I think that that's a huge feather in your cap to have that, and I think it's a huge value add to the partner community. So I just wanted to add that from my perspective and my experience in getting to know you all. But what I'd love to do now, if it's okay, is jump in and talk about specializations.
Sure.
Let's do it. So, one of the things I want to talk about, where I'd like to start is how should partners evaluate if a specialization is even worth it for them? Because I mean, it's not a walk in the park. It's not like just a one or two check boxes. This is a real investment in time, effort, money. And so I'd love to hear from you what's the thing they should think about before going on this journey?
That's a really great question, and it's important because there's a lot of buzz around specializations. Obviously, we're here to talk about that today, but there's buzz from Microsoft. They'd really like you to do this, and we love the chance to talk about this a little bit. So, it's to decide if it's worth it for you. I would recommend running through the specialization that you're considering. Kind of think about it through a consultant's framework, if you will. So, first, I would say size versus resource cost. If you're a smaller firm, focus in on one specialization to get started that really matches your highest margin service. Don't try to collect them all. There's a lot of specializations out there. Start with one. The audit and exam costs are high. A good rule of thumb is to target about 5x or 5 times the cost of the specialization in incremental funding or deal wins within 12 months. Honestly, this really applies regardless of the partner size, in my opinion. The next thing I would think about, Rob, would be go-to-market motion alignment. Think about
Mhm.
your pipeline, right? Take a look at it. If 80% of your revenue comes from Azure migrations, but you're thinking about a security specialization because there's a lot of buzz and it seems cool,
Right.
don't do that. Follow the money. Pursue the specialization that protects your core business and unlocks incentives for the deals you're already closing, right? I mean, that
Right.
makes sense. And then the last thing I'd say on this one, the incentive gap analysis. So check the FY26 or whatever year you are looking at that time. But today, look at FY26 investment playbooks. If a program like Azure Innovate or MCI offers 20% higher payout for the specialized partner in your field, that's your worth it signal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, partners lose sight. You used a great example there. Security. There's a lot of buzz around security. Everybody's talking AI and, oh, you've got to have security to do AI. And you think, oh my goodness, I should go after that. But to your
Right.
point, I love the fact that you just call it out and say, look at your pipeline. Where are your deals? Like, let's start there. And then the MCI and Azure Innovate, the different programs that, if that's the place you're playing and that's where you're driving business, it just adds on to the wins there. So I love that.
Yeah, I would say one other thing I would mention here, just from my background, I've been with the vendor side, but I was also a partner for many years. So I do look at it in that way. And we were
Mhm.
specialized in
Yeah.
multiple cloud company organizations, right? Not just Microsoft. Is it okay to mention the names?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was with Insight here in the US for 6 years.
Mhm.
I led delivery in the US. So we obviously had multiple technical stacks, right? So
Mhm.
we went through this same process that ISSI offers. We were a customer of ISSI's,
Yeah.
and we went through their validation, right? And we knew there was a reason to be there. It was smart. And
Yeah.
I was with Avanade as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's you're living it from both sides. You're living it
Agree.
as the customer, kind of consuming the service, and now delivering the service. So I love that. I love that. So, well, we've talked about kind of the what to evaluate, but now what are some of the mistakes that partners make as they're entering this process? What are some of the common mistakes they make or the decisions they don't make for that matter when they're going through this process?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot, and that's not the partner's fault, right? It's a complex process. Don't take that as a negative. We could spend this whole time talking about those issues, but let's just hit on three that I
Sure.
would kind of recommend to think about. So The first would be treating the specialization as a marketing badge, not a sales tool. Partners often earn the badge and then they wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work. The mistake is not immediately updating your marketplace offers and your co-sell profiles to reflect that new status.
Yeah.
You want to be there, right? If Microsoft sellers don't see it in their internal tools, the specialization isn't working for you. And remember, you went through the effort of earning the specialization, now put it to work.
Right. Right.
The
Yeah.
next one I would kind of think about, Rob, would be underestimating the proof of execution rigor. What do I mean by that? I would say, unlike the general designations, specializations can, and in most cases, require third-party audits, like from ISSI, or very specific customer references that are going to meet high consumption or seat count thresholds. These are important to think about ahead of time. So partners often will start that process without checking if their existing customer base really meets those targets. An analogy that I would like to use here is, we all say, here's a new tool, or here's a new process, or what have you. Maybe it's a piece of furniture. And you're not going to look at the instruction manual. You're just going to jump right into it. What normally happens, you have to take 6 steps back, right?
Right.
Same thing here, right? Take the time to fully understand the requirements before you get started. It'll save you a lot of aggravation.
I love that. That's doing a little bit of work up front pays off big in the back end.
It does. And the last, of the 3 that I would mention here is misaligning with internal talent. I'm being very specific here. So pursuing a specialization requires your best architects to pass advanced exams. So that's a component of it. A common mistake is we're just going to bring everybody in and force this through to make it happen. So we're going to get the generalists involved, and they're going to possibly fail exams, and you're going to have a lot of wasted time because it's not the right resource in alignment. That's costly and can be really disappointing.
Interesting. Yeah. So, well, to flip that on its head a little bit, then what are the couple things that the partners should get right before? Like, so if I'm going to do this, I've said, yep, I'm all in, I'm going to get this Azure specialization. What should I, have done before I sort of pull that trigger and engage somebody like an ISSI to help me on the process?
Yeah, definitely. I can speak to that a little bit. So we see a lot of times when a partner gets their solution partner designation and they're really excited for specializations, they say, okay, we're ready, and they hit the apply button. That really does kick off the process for the audit. So once they apply within Partner Center, we, our impression from ISSI is you guys are ready to go to the audit. And while that is positive, one thing that we see is partners, if they hit apply, they might not have even read the checklist. So the auditor's prayer at every audit is that the partner has read the checklist in detail in advance.
Okay.
So that I think is the best thing that you can do. So once you meet the solution partner designations that are relevant to that specialization, really go open the checklist, go through it in detail and see, do we meet these requirements? Do we think we can have enough evidence prepared to do this? So I would say the auditor definitely will be looking for that. And if you can look at the checklist ahead of time, that'll definitely give you a leg up on the audit itself. In addition to that, at the audit itself, a lot of people will show up and maybe one person has read the checklist out of the entire partner organization. And for a lot of other people, it'll be brand new. So having the right people in the room is one thing that you can do to kind of put yourself in a better place. But if the people who are in the room that can speak to those requirements have seen it ahead of time, that'll give you a leg up. So it sounds very basic to read the requirements, but that I'd say is really the differentiator on what makes a good partner versus a not so good partner when you do get to the audit itself.
Right. So it sounds like just taking the time to, one, understand that checklist, but two, is treat it like a real project. I mean, this is, I think you said it earlier, Troy, this is a sales motion. You need to be thinking about this in terms of revenue and building revenue for your business, and you need to take that seriously. That's not just an afterthought. It's something that you really do need to take stock in and get that. So then if for those partners that are thinking, is the solution designation, or sorry, the specialization, the thing I could
Hmm.
do or should do? I've got my solution designation. I'm a
Hmm.
modern work partner or an Azure infrastructure partner with that solution designation. Why should I be thinking about the specialization? What is the thing? And Troy, I think you started to touch on it, but I'd love it if you could go a little deeper on that question.
Yeah, no, we hear this a lot. I already have my solution designation in various areas, right? Why would I want to get a specialization? So think about it like this. If the solution designation proves you have a license to play, a specialization proves you have the license to win.
Oh, I like
It's gonna,
that.
yeah, it's gonna solve three primary business problems, right? That's the way I would kind of frame this up.
Right.
Excuse me. The first one, you want to differentiate yourself. There
Yeah.
are thousands of partners, and they hold solution designations just like you may. So I call it the sea of sameness problem, right?
Yeah,
You
that's
want
great. A
to
sea of stainless.
you want to be different. You want to stand out. So
Yeah.
again, thousands of partners are going to hold these solution designations. The specialization is going to validate your deep technical expertise in a specific high demand sub area. Think about Azure Cloud Break or threat protection.
Yeah.
Having them make you visible to Microsoft sellers and customers as an elite expert. That's important,
Mhm.
right? Who
Yeah.
doesn't want to stand out?
Yeah.
And I'm sure all the partners on the call today, they're thinking, how do I compete with my competitor? How do I win this business if I'm going through the Pepsi challenge, right? And we used
Yeah.
to do this at Insight and Avanade all the time. You have to find a ways to differentiate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. And I mean, you think about what, whoever you listen to, the numbers, 500,000 partners, or
Yeah.
even if it's only half of that you're competing with, or a tenth of that, that's still an enormous number. And it kind of reminds me of the days, the gold and silver days, when it was just
Hmm.
at some point
Hmm.
it meant nothing.
Right.
And although I don't think that's true of the solution designations, I think they're a little more valuable because they're a little more
Hmm.
clear. But I think the specializations, to your point, really help to differentiate you. And I suspect that it is a relatively small pool right now of people. So
Yeah, and that's very valid. You see the change, and some partners will say, "Well, Microsoft changed the program; they're going to change it again." I really feel like if you were at Ignite or listen to any of the live streams, they're doubling down here. They
yeah,
really are focusing. And as you said, we work really closely with Microsoft to develop the checklist validation process, and it's exciting. We love being and are humbled by being in that position. From what we see, that's not slowing down.
right, right. Well, let's dig into that a little bit. Thinking about it from Microsoft's perspective, you know, what signal does that specialization send to them? What does it send to Microsoft as a
Hmm.
whole, to the field teams, the co-sell motions? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. And for me, I think that's the real thing that partners need to take away from today is that
Hmm.
Microsoft is looking at this, and I'd love to hear from you what they see and what signals it gives them.
Sure. Yeah. So I think Troy touched on it already, but there are several thousand partners that do have a solution partner designation. So if you really want to jump up and differentiate yourself, a specialization is a fantastic way to do that. In addition to that, some actual things that you can see materialize is if you do get a specialization, you are listed first in Partner Finder. That's great. It puts you top of mind for customers, top of mind for Microsoft. As far as co-sell, if you do have specializations, you do have a high priority for co-sell discovery and referral routing within Partner Center as well. So within internal Microsoft tools, you definitely get bumped up a bit there.
And for me
Hmm.
personally, I think about trust. When I think about the
Hmm.
specialization, you know, I've seen what it takes for a partner to go through this. And if I'm a Microsoft seller, I would want to trust my customer with somebody that's taken the time and invested the time, energy, money, all of that into earning that specialization. It says to me, this partner knows what they're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. Echoing what Jamie said and what you're saying, Rob. You're in the game, right? As the partner,
Mhm.
if you're going to go through these steps, you're going to prove to Microsoft, you're going to prove to the customer that you've validated the experience. You're capable of doing this across the board. And I can tell you from being on the vendor side, that is really important because we want to make sure the customer has the best experience, right? And putting myself in Microsoft's shoes or any of the hyperscalers, you want to make sure that the customer has the best experience. The partner is an extension of you. And the reason we have these programs and the validation is to ensure the partner can do exactly what they say they can do, and they're able to prove that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, it really is. The partner community, specifically in Microsoft's case, it's an
Hmm.
extension of Microsoft. I mean, it
Yep.
is, Microsoft is a partner-led organization. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I absolutely love this. And this has been so valuable. I think that, it's such a mystery to many partners, the whole specialization arena. So, if a partner wanted to learn more about specializations and talk to you, learn more about your organization, what would be the best place or the best way to get to that, get that information?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rob, because again, for those of you that don't know ISSI, so you can obviously reach us through our website. You can also contact us at sales@issi-inc.com, and you'll get someone to reach out and speak to you about your specific questions and goals and where you're trying to go. We are not a one size fit all. We do have specific audit readiness consulting that we can actually help you with, where we're just covering from the basics, the controls and process, to an in-depth workshop where we'll actually look at maybe 3 specializations that you're focusing on and help you to show the overlap and where you can become efficient and really drive to get your goals achieved.
That's awesome. So it sounds like it's not, you don't have just one thing you do. You can help a partner prepare, you can help a partner go through the audit. There's a
Hmm.
lot of different facets you can help in that specialization journey, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And that's the whole core of our business. That's what we're here to do.
Wonderful, wonderful. What I'd like to do is I will drop the link to your website in there, and if you want to, we can drop in an email address as well, so
Hmm.
that anyone that's listening today can get a hold of y'all. And I would love to thank you both, Troy and Jamie, for joining me today. It's been a fantastic conversation. I learned a lot, so
Hmm.
I know the partner community is going to learn a lot from our conversation today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Rob.
Thank you
Really
so much.
appreciated being here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you could join me. So thanks a lot, and everyone have a great day. Cheers.